All right, let's jump right in. We're about to explore a concept that's, both incredibly simple and maybe even revolutionary. It's called earthing. Some people call it grounding, and it's all about our direct physical connection to the very planet we live on.
So the big question this whole idea asks is this. What if, in our frantic search for all these complex medical cures, we've completely overlooked something incredibly basic? Something that's literally right under our feet.
To really get why this connection could matter so much, first we've got to talk about a huge problem in modern health, and that's the insane rise of chronic inflammation. And believe me, this is no small thing. Just look at the research. Since the 1960s, the number of scientific studies on inflammation has absolutely skyrocketed. It's now one of the hottest topics in biomedical science, which is basically a giant red flag that something is seriously wrong with our collective health.
And this isn't some abstract idea for scientists to debate. No, this is real life. As it turns out, chronic inflammation is the common thread, the secret culprit, hiding behind nearly every major modern disease. The stuff that's the leading cause of death and suffering all over the world.
Right, so that leads to the big questions, doesn't it? What on earth is causing all this inflammation, and why has it exploded into an epidemic in just the last 50 or 60 years? Honestly, these are the questions that have really stumped medical science.
Well, the theory we're digging into here proposes a pretty radical answer, that a huge piece of the puzzle lies in a connection we've lost, an electrical connection to the Earth. And this is not some brand new, wacky idea. For thousands of years, cultures all across the globe just knew there was value in touching the ground. They saw it as a source of strength and healing. I mean, that's a world away from how we live now, right?
So what changed? Well, a huge part of it is our shoes. For almost all of human history, our footwear was made of things like leather. These are conductive materials, especially when they get a little moist from sweat, and they kept us connected to the Earth's energy. But today, almost every shoe we wear has a sole made of rubber or plastic. These are insulators. They completely disconnect us.
And get this, take a look at this chart. It shows the crazy rise in diabetes cases right next to the boom in the synthetic-soled shoe industry. Now, of course, we have to say it. Correlation isn't causation. But wow, that parallel is so striking, it's hard to ignore. It really makes you wonder if this disconnection is a huge hidden factor in our health problems. Okay, so if being disconnected is the problem, could reconnecting be the solution? This is where things get really interesting, because now we can look at the actual scientific evidence on what happens when you ground a human body. Let's start with something we can all relate to, stress and sleep. These charts show cortisol levels, that's your main stress hormone, over 24 hours. On the left, before grounding, you can see it's just all over the place, totally chaotic. But look at the right. After just 6 weeks of sleeping electrically connected to the Earth, that rhythm completely smooths out. It gets back to a healthy natural cycle.
We can also literally see the effect on inflammation. This is medical thermal imaging, where heat shows up as red. So those bright red hot spots, that's where the inflammation and pain are. But then, after only 4 nights of sleeping grounded, look at that difference. The cooling effect is just undeniable, a massive visible reduction in inflammation.
And the changes can happen incredibly fast. Here we're looking at red blood cells under a microscope. Before grounding, on the left, you see how they're all clumped up? That's like a traffic jam in your veins. It makes your blood thick and sludgy. But after just 2 hours of grounding, look at the right. The cells have separated. They're flowing freely. It's like a clear highway. This is a huge deal for your cardiovascular health.
Okay, so we see what happens, but the big question is how? How does just touching the Earth do all this? Well, it gets into some cool biophysics, but the basic idea is actually super simple. It all starts with the planet itself. Thanks to thousands of lightning strikes happening every minute all around the globe, the Earth's surface has this constant, gentle, negative electrical charge. This means it has a practically limitless supply of something called free electrons. Think of it as the planet having this huge, endless reserve of natural energy. This little cartoon explains it perfectly. When you've got insulating shoes on, your body is just isolated, electrically cut off. But the second you're grounded, your body's electrical potential equalizes with the Earth. You basically become an extension of the planet's electrical field, which creates this cool umbrella effect that can shield you from other environmental fields. Here's a great way to think about it.
Picture your body like a battery or a reservoir for these free electrons. When we're always wearing shoes and living indoors, that battery runs low. It gets depleted. But when we reconnect with the Earth, our bodies can draw from its massive supply and basically recharge our own internal battery.
And here's why that full battery is so important. When you get an injury, your immune system sends out these molecules called free radicals. They're like a demolition crew. They're good for cleaning up damaged cells. But if there are too many of them, they start damaging healthy tissue nearby, and that's what causes a lot of inflammation. But if your electron reservoir is full, those electrons can rush in and immediately neutralize the extra free radicals. They basically tell the demo crew, okay, you're done here, stopping that chain reaction of damage in its tracks.
So to put it as simply as possible, grounding lets your body soak up the Earth's natural mobile electrons like a sponge. And those electrons then act as maybe the most powerful antioxidant there is, putting out the fire of inflammation right at the source. This is all really fascinating stuff, but what does it actually mean for us? Living in insulated houses and working in offices? Let's talk about the practical takeaway here. So when you look at all the research, what are we talking about here? The potential benefits are huge. It's a list of the exact things so many of us struggle with. Less inflammation and pain, better sleep, lower stress, better circulation, a faster immune response, and even quicker healing.
And the best part is, you don't have to quit your job and go live barefoot in the woods to do this. There's now technology that brings the Earth's energy right inside to you. There are conductive mats you can put under your desk, special sheets for your bed, and even footwear that keeps you grounded while you walk around. It's designed for our modern lifestyle.
When you put it all together, the takeaway is pretty profound. This research suggests that reconnecting to the Earth isn't just some minor wellness hack. It might be one of the most simple yet powerful things we can do to fight back against modern chronic disease. And that leaves us with one last big, kind of mind-blowing question to think about. In our world of incredibly complex diseases and high-tech treatments, could it be that the most important missing piece in our health puzzle has been the simplest one of all? Our forgotten natural electrical connection to the ground right beneath our feet?